I'm Jess. I'm a nurse and a mom with a passion for flipping furniture. I'm using that passion to pay my way to gain my master's in nursing. So join me in this journey and let's flip this script.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. We've had a rocky February. My youngest had croup and we needed to go to the hospital a few times, and my other two have just been sick, so it's been a long while. But I'm so excited to show you guys this, turning the bottom part of a hutch into a modern, kind of a mid-century vibe sideboard credenza sort of thing. And I hope you guys love it as much as I do, because I love how it turned out. As soon as I saw this piece, I knew I wanted it to be green, like an emerald vintage green. The first thing I wanted to do was get rid of these leg things. They were in really rough shape, pressed particle board, and so I took my jigsaw after I marked the measurements and sawed them off. I actually hate using jigsaws. It makes me super nervous. I just find it super jumpy, but anyways, it got the job done, and I was super happy to get those ugly, worn out things off. Next up, more prep, because with painting furniture, especially laminate like this, your prep is so important. Your finish is only as good as your prep work. Even though the prep work is boring and monotonous, it's so important. So I always clean with either a TSP or a TSP substitute. In this case, I used Cred Cutter. Just follow the manufacturer's instructions. Here I'm just taking off the hardware, and it was kind of difficult because the middle is solid, so I had to kind of hug this piece and get the middle hardware off, as you'll see in the next clip. After cleaning and removing all the hardware, I did the scuff sand with 225 grit, or 220 grit, sorry. And that's just, especially on a laminate piece, you really want to rough it up a little bit so that the paint and primer will actually adhere to your surface and not just flake off. I've started lining my paint tray with tinfoil, just that I get at the dollar store. I find it makes cleanup so much easier. And if I'm doing multiple coats of something, I actually just wrap my brushes and my foam roller in the tinfoil before putting it in a Ziploc bag in the fridge. And that way I don't have to wash out the brushes and everything in between coats. Really saves a lot of time, and I just find cleanup is so much easier. For this piece, I used a shellac primer. A lot of times I'll use a water base, but with laminate pieces, especially pressed particle board, I like to use a shellac. That just, yeah, pressed particle board hates water and it swells up. So the shellac, I find, just offers a nice layer of protection. Plus, I found this in my basement from the people that we bought the house from. So that was an added bonus that I didn't have to go out and buy another pot of, or can, I should say, of primer. So I'm just putting that all over with a foam roller, trying to keep all the dust out of it, which is the tricky part. Now, these little detailed areas were so hard to get at, and so I ended up just using a spray can of, again, bin shellac. Bin is typically my favorite brand, but like I said, I found the Kills brand in my basement, so I like to use what I have on hand and be resourceful and limit the amount of waste that I produce, because a lot of the purpose of my hobby here is to save pieces from the landfill and give them a new life, because so much is wasted. And a lot of times all these furniture pieces need is just a little facelift, and so I get so excited when I can save a piece like this from the landfill. And I chose the color pressed fern. I had to move my piece in the house with my puppy there snuggling, because it was just so cold, and fortunately it started warming up. But I try not to paint outside when it's below zero. It just messes with, well, actually I should say I never paint outside when it's below zero. I find that, yeah, it's just not good for the paint, especially water-based paint. So that is what I'm doing. I love this color. It definitely needed, I think I ended up doing 3 coats with some touch up in the detailed areas. It's highly, highly pigmented, but it did take several layers to get the pigment that I wanted and the coverage that I wanted. And I'm just painting around my puppy. I ended up trying to work around him, but I think I scared him. He is 13, almost 14 years old. I've had him since he was 2, and I was in college, and he is just I just love this dog so much. He is becoming quite blind and deaf, and so he gets startled easily when he feels vibrations in the floor, or if he doesn't know someone's coming in. Like I bumped into him there and he gets startled. So it's really heartbreaking to see, like, he's my baby, my first baby. And I don't know, lately I've been getting a lot of anxiety about him passing away, because I've had him longer than I've ever had any pet, and he is just my special little guy, and he's gotten me through so many hard times. And I'm like tearing up even talking about him passing away. So I'm trying to give him the best life I can, even when he's having some health issues. And just, yeah, that's a little about my boy Chico. I love him to death. And okay, here I'm just, again, painting these little crevices. It took forever, especially 3 coats, but yeah, so detailed work is not always my favorite, but I kind of found it soothing. I just put on like a true crime podcast and worked away at it. I actually ended up having to hold my little guy for most of the time while I painted this piece, because he was just so sick, and he wanted me. He wanted to be near me, and all my 3 of my kids really like to be near me when I'm working, and I really love them to see their mom doing this type of work. I obviously work at a hospital when I'm working as a nurse, and they can't really see me work in that environment. So I enjoy them being able to see me working this way, as well as seeing that women and their mom can do physical things like run power tools and transform furniture. And yeah, I just love seeing them do that. And they also are becoming increasingly interested in participating in the work, especially painting. My oldest, Caden, actually helped me paint this in little areas. And when I installed the legs, like the hardware for the legs, he surprised me and screwed on the wooden parts. So I came downstairs and that was done. It was just so sweet. He's got a heart of gold. Just very lightly with a 220 grit sandpaper, just to get any brush strokes or raise marks that I may have missed. And then I'm going in with the second coat here with my microfiber roller. And I am jamming out to some Encanto music while my kids watch that movie for the 70 millionth time. But at least it's a good one. Now when I tipped the piece over, I saw the areas that I had missed, so I had to go in and touch those areas up. And while that dried, I went to the garage and I sanded off. It was like a dark, I don't even know how to describe it, wood look that just wouldn't have gone with the piece. I got these from Amazon a long time ago. I think they were like 40 bucks, but they're solid wood. So I stripped them right down to the wood, and I'm just installing the hardware pieces that it came with. And it was so easy to install. I just ended up well, my son did it, but he screwed on the wooden parts of the legs, but it was super simple. And then I decided the piece just needed a little extra detail, and I put this peel and stick wallpaper with gold in it on the front of the drawer here. I just love this piece. Like, this drawer was such a surprise when I opened it, because I got this piece originally from a girlfriend, and yeah, she knew I would love to make it over, and she didn't have the time to do it. So here it is. I love that little pop. At this point, it was getting super dark, but I wanted to show you. And then this is the final product. Again, it's dark because this piece ended up selling in like 2 hours. And so that was so exciting, because that meant that someone will love this piece as much as I do. And I was sure to let the buyer know that the piece needs to be gently used for 3 weeks. If you've ever used Fusion mineral paint, it does take 3 weeks to cure, so you have to give it some gentle love for the first couple of weeks. And here it is. I hope you guys love it as much as I do. Thank you for watching. It means the world to me, and seeing my channel grow is so exciting. So please like and subscribe.